Right, going long NASDAQ here. Looking for higher prices. Entering on the 1 minute chart off of a bullish fair value gap. And we are targeting as a partial new week opening, the new week opening gap low, and as a terminus, the 6 o'clock wick high. I believe that is 6:10 p.m. high. This is on our lucid evals, and we're almost done with passing our third lucid eval, which is pretty cool. And the whole premise of this trade was we had a, what was it, like a 322 point gap that had formed after the negotiations had failed with the US and Iran. So, whenever you have a large gap like that, you want to be cautious. You want to wait for your setup to really appear and look clear. And, when I got to the chart at around, 6:15, I had no interest in going short. We had taken out previous day New York session, previous, what was it, that Friday session low, and I believe it was a Thursday session low for the New York session that we had taken out. And I don't know, I had no desire to go short. We faced a little heat here on this trade, but price eventually moves back into the upper half of that bullish fair value gap. So anyway, I had no interest in going short. I saw price trading, I saw sentiment being very bearish, and with that kind of sentiment in the air, I could totally see them trying to trap shorts with that type of news. And again, we may move lower, but for this specific dealing range, I saw trendline liquidity on all those highs to the left of the chart, and I saw people placing their stops there. I looked at that 610 high as an area that, those who had gone short after open, price taps back into that new week opening gap low and rejects, and so they're like, we're going to go short, we're going to attack that wick, that discount wick that formed at the 6 o'clock open. And I like to fade that. I like to do the opposite of what I believe the majority of traders are doing, I guess, if that makes any sense. And I was waiting for that macro, that 750, 810 macro, and immediately we get this BISI that forms, and the large fair value gap, and it looked aggressive. It looked aggressive to the upside, so I entered 3 contracts long on micros. But yeah, that was kind of my trade idea of me entering long. I really had no desire to go short. Right now on the 5 minute, also keeping an eye on, we're trading inside of a bearish fair value gap that had formed at 6:15. I want to see price disrespected, and I love that displacement there. It's exactly what I want to see. Labeling this as a bullish order block. Want price to respect it. Remove some of my risk. And I have, those partials set at that new week opening gap low. I'm very close to passing this eval, so I don't want to try to, look for home runs. I want to continue doing what I've been doing, which is base hits. I don't want to get overzealous on these accounts. I do want to be aggressive, but whenever I get a little closer to passing them, I wouldn't say I take my foot off the brake, but I'm a little bit more realistic with taking partials and taking some off, rewarding myself mid-trade. And we're close to taking our first partial. So we took the bulk of our position off, 2 contracts off at that new week opening gap low. And risk has been entirely removed. And right here I start playing around with my terminus. Price looks really bullish. I like the way price looks here, so I'm thinking, hey, maybe we can move to that that fib level that I have annotated there of the new week opening gap, but come back down to earth and just say, hey, let's just go for our original target. It's a little over 50 handles, which I think is a respectable amount in terms of a trade. So now I'm looking for price to stay above that new week opening gap. And more importantly, I want price, you'll see me label a bullish fair value gap in a second on the 1 minute. There's that bullish fair value gap. So we have a bullish fair value gap, and then we have that order block that had formed below. So I like that we have 2 discount arrays that are serving as support, or that we want to serve as support for price. And here I'm aware that it's the new week opening gap low, so it's an important level. So we may reject at it completely and attack my sell stop and retrace, but again, I've taken the bulk of my position off, so this is a winning trade regardless of what price does. Here I'm annotating a 5-minute bullish fair value gap. I spent a lot of time on the 5-minute for this trade. I mean, you're seeing the 1 minute here, but on my other screen I was paying close attention to the 5-minute and also the 3-minute. There were some, the 5-minute looked very clean, and the 3-minute looked clean as well. I like the way that price looked. I think in hindsight, I'll look back and see that we actually potentially moved higher into that gap. That gap was such a large gap that I can totally see price filling a portion of it. And with new week opening gaps, I really like using ICT's quadrants and octant levels, especially that consequent encroachment or that midpoint of the new week opening gaps or new day opening gaps. I think price loves to react to those levels, draw to them. I am excited to trade this week, man. I don't know. I'm happy with my development in these last few months with trading. I feel like I'm really seeing price well. I'm being a lot more patient with my entries and decision making, my stop loss placement. I'm factoring in more of the higher time frames on my my analysis before the trade and during the trade. So very, very happy. So now you see that wick high that I have annotated, push/trail. So I'm looking for a price to stay above that 5-minute fair value gap, and as long as we do so, as well as that 1-minute fair value gap that's stacked right on top, I think that I'm confident that we're going to push through those short-term highs that we had just formed. And when doing so, I'm going to start to aggressively move my stop up a little more. Again, price flirting with that 5-minute fair value gap. Again, I spent a lot of my time on this trade looking at the 3-minute and 5-minute. They looked very, very clean. Price now trading below that 5-minute fair value gap, and this is where on the 3-minute we had a order block as well as a BISI that I'm keeping my eye on. And we traded to it and immediately rejected to the upside. So when I saw that on the 3-minute, I got really excited because I knew that price was probably going to start spooling and pushing aggressively to the upside, and that's exactly what we did. We get that big green candle, close above where we had push trailed by that short-term high, and at this point I have my stop move to the wick that had tapped into that 3-minute fair value gap, and it's just a matter of time, and that's all she wrote. Solid trade to start the week.